All right, we'll get started. We'd like to welcome Patton Kizzire into the interview room here at the RSM Classic. Patton, a home game this week. You're making your 10th consecutive start at the RSM Classic. How does it feel to be back playing at Sea Island?
Feels good to be home. Feels good to sleep in my own bed and feel like I'm not going out there and trying to learn the golf course. I'm very familiar with this place and looking forward to a fun week.
Coming into the week, number 130 in the FedEx Cup standings, obviously this being the last week of the regular season, how much is that on your mind, and what are you looking to accomplish this week?
You know, it's on my mind, but at the same time, I've got a job to do and to go out there and compete. I'm not protecting anything. I don't feel like I'm trying not to screw up. I've got to go out there and make it happen. But win, lose, or draw, my family's here. It's gonna be a battle, but at the end of the day, my kids will be there. My whole family will be here, so I'm looking forward to that.
Last one before we take some questions out here, and we'll get a microphone passed out. Special announcement yesterday that you were here for Chris Kirk. How cool was that to see one of your close friends receive the PGA Tour Courage Award?
That was so cool. He is very deserving. Although Chris is just like a year older than me, he seems a lot more. He seems like a mentor as well as a buddy. But I was so proud that he received that award, and he's somebody that we can all look up to. And it took a lot of courage to do what he did.
All right, we'll take some questions out here. If you have a question, we'll get a microphone to you. We'll start with Cameron on the left over here.
This is going to work.
You're good.
Yeah, Chris spoke a little bit about playing some Yahtzee with some guys in his rental houses. I was wondering if you've ever been part of those games, if you've stayed in the rental houses with him, and then also to what extent have you kind of dealt with loneliness in the off hours of playing on the PGA Tour? It's a very lonely sport to begin with, and there's a lot of time in hotel rooms. And how do you combat that?
It can be a lonely game. You're not really part of a team, but it's good that we've been able to create a lot of camaraderie. I'm a regular in the Chris Kirk household, and I have been on the wrong end of plenty of Yahtzee games. Kirk and Sepp, those are probably the two, and Denny's pretty good, but those are probably the top three ranked Yahtzee players. I'm better at gin, so I would put myself towards the top of the rankings on the gin table. But it's a grind. You spend a lot of time away from your family, and sometimes you do find yourself alone and managing your thoughts and your habits. It's not easy, but it's good to have a group of guys to lean on, and I think Kirk leans on us to hold him accountable a little bit, but he's done a great job by himself. He's stayed pretty dedicated or very dedicated, and I commend him for that. Mentally, he is now stronger than probably all the rest of us.
And then on a different topic, how much does it kind of fuel you when you see a guy like Camilo do what he's done the last 2 weeks? He was in a similar position to yourself. He was actually quite a bit farther outside the top 125, and now he's well inside. So does it give guys like who are in the struggle a little bit of hope?
Of course. I think Camilo had those 2 good weeks long before recently. I think he's put in a lot of work, and a lot of guys are putting in a lot of work, but he stayed really dedicated to what he's doing. He's a freak. I mean, physically he's as good as anybody, and I know he's worked really hard, and it is encouraging to see that, to see hard work pay off for your peers. He's well deserving, and I don't think it surprised anybody that he won last week after what he did in Mexico. He was so solid, and he just had the momentum going, and everybody on tour is very impressed with what he's done these last 2 weeks.
Gary?
Patton, would you just talk about a couple of guys that have problems that everyday people deal with, a tragic death in a family, struggling with substance abuse? Do sometimes fans see the things you guys do on a golf course, the athletes that you are, and perhaps forget that you're just as susceptible to the pressures and the temptations and the unforeseen tragedies that will happen to anybody, to them? Do they, I don't know, do you somehow feel like people think you guys are immune to it?
Yeah, we still live life just like everybody else does. I was speaking to my caddy just the other day. I was talking to him about, I wonder why people can't learn from other people's mistakes. It takes something very tragic a lot of the time, or painful, to learn from it. And we just talked about how it's just human. We're just humans. We're imperfect, and I wish I could learn from other people's mistakes, and I'm sure everybody feels the same way. But it's golf is difficult. Traveling and competing at a high level is not easy. We make a lot of sacrifices. A lot of that has to do with their time away from family, but it's, at the end of the day, we're all human. We're imperfect, and everybody's dealing with something. It's always a grind.
And with all things being equal, or all things being perfect, this is a really hard game to make a living out of. What do you think is in somebody to recover from substance abuse, and somebody to lose a baby and come back and somehow get themselves together? And is it extraordinary, or is it maybe no different from the guy who has a regular 9-to-5 job who has the same thing, and he comes back and does his job effectively?
Well, golf requires a lot of mental strength, and these unfortunate things that have happened to some of the guys out here, it's unfortunate, but these are the kind of people that can use that to propel them forward, and that's what we've seen. Camilla especially recently, and Kirk has come back and done really well. So mental strength is a very important part of this game, and those two guys definitely have it.
Go to Todd and then up here to Keith.
Hey, Patton, right here. Obviously, the host has great roots in this area, talking about Davis. He seems to have had such great influence or mentorship towards a lot of the players here. How would you describe that influence that he has on the players that live around this area?
He's had so much influence on this area in general. And it started with his father and a lot of the people who started Sea Island, Mr. Jones and a lot of guys. And Davis really took it to the next level, being such a world-class player and a great mentor, and one of the best to ever do it. He drew a lot of people to this area, and I'm very fortunate to call him a friend and a mentor. And it's I pinch myself every day. People say, "You live in Sea Island?" I'm like, "Yeah," and I have to remember how special this place is. It's a great place to raise a family and improve your golf game and be around some of the best people to be around.
Go back to Todd.
Have you witnessed his influence on others, or maybe through you? And if so, what does he bring to you as you try to make it on the world stage?
Well, he's such a low-key guy. He doesn't hold himself in a high light. He's very humble, and he leads by example. And lends hands, and he's a friend. He's a really good friend, and I know what kind of impact he's had on a lot of the guys, especially around my age. We moved here and we competed in tournaments against him a little bit and played around town with him and competed, and he's always we'll do cookouts and hangouts with him, and he's just been there for all of us.
Go to Keith and then Adam.
Patton, I appreciate your transparency in answering those important questions, and it made me think of something which could also be a difficult question, but I'm going to shift gears. The Sea Island guys, your record here at the tournament, it's a very unique situation. There's so many of you that live here and play in this event, but overall, the record of the guys that play here, I'm curious why it isn't better. I don't need to get into yours. You know yours, but like Matt Kuchar's played here 11 times. He has one top 10. Brian Harmon never won, only a couple top 10s, played here more than 10 times. I could go on down the list. I'm wondering why you think that is. Are there too many parties at night during a week, or what's going on?
That could be the case. I know that we definitely enjoy ourselves this week, but a lot of us are at the point where we have kids and a family, so we're kind of beyond that. But Cooch might have moved away from here so he can play better here now. No, just joking. But there's a lot of good players in this field. It might just be a coincidence. I don't think anybody treats it a whole lot differently than a regular week, other than just there are family gatherings or get-togethers. But I think we're all looking to break that narrative and do something this week.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Adam?
Pat, how do you describe the difference between securing your card this week and what it would mean if you don't?
That's what I touched on earlier. I'm at peace either way. I think I'm whatever happens, happens. It may be for the best if I don't, but
why?
I'm certain. I saw a video of something about a Chinese proverb. The farmer's horse dies, and people come up to him and say, "Oh, I'm so sorry." He's like, "Maybe." And then the next day, 7 wild horses comes up, and they're like, "Oh, this is great." And he's like, "Maybe." It goes on and on down the line, but I don't think that it's definitive. It could be better for me to be in a different situation. You never know, but I fully plan on playing well and getting it done. If it doesn't, I'm at peace. I think God has a plan for me, and whatever it is, we'll find out.
Where did you see that Chinese proverb?
I spend a little bit too much time on Instagram, so it was just I like videos like that philosophy, Stoic philosophy stuff like that, and that's where I saw it.
If you were to dissect your game and why you're in the position you are, what's held you back this season?
I would say just a little bit of everything. My strength in my game for forever has been my putting, and I haven't putted like myself. Maybe miss a fairway or two here, miss a putt or two there, and it just has happened too often. I think my preparation, I've learned a lot. I think I'm beginning to learn how to prepare, and the mental game has not been where I needed to be, and that's what I've been putting the most work into, and that's people don't realize how important that is. All the guys that are playing well week in, week out, physically are doing well, but mentally, you got to be on point.
Okay, since you like philosophy, what type of player do you think the PGA Tour needs? What type of player does the PGA Tour need to fill Rory's shoes on the board?
somebody with some experience. I really hadn't put too much thought into that. I know he'll be missed, but that's for them to decide. I think Brian Harmon provides a lot of wisdom and insight. Whether he's willing to do that or not, we'll see.
Any other questions for Patton? Gary? Thank you, Adam.
What you got to do this week, does it in any way help? You talked about you not trying to protect anything, or you can't approach it that way. Does it help playing on a course where you got to make a lot of birdies, given the fact if the wind doesn't blow, you got to shoot at 18, 20, 22 under to win this? Does that kind of sharpen your focus and help you?
Yeah, certainly. I was talking to my trainer just before I walked in. I said, well, I'm not protecting anything. I like being the hunter and not the hunted. Certainly won't be looking over my shoulder or anything. Be looking to be aggressive and weather dependent. The scores will be pretty low if the weather cooperates, but it's still a challenging golf course where you have to take some calculated risk. But for me, it's stay right here, right where my feet are, and execute like I know how, and keep going. Mentally, just that's where I feel like I'm stronger than I was. So mentally, being right where my feet are, that's all I'm looking forward to doing.
All right, Patton, those are all the questions we have. Thank you for your time and insight, and best of luck this week.
I appreciate it.